Going to be a third party, by the way, that's going to come, all right, soon. And that third party is going to change the dynamic of the whole election. But I like the electoral college system. I think it's a great system. From what I understand, there is a third party, and Gary Johnson is running as... That's your local pot dealer, by the way, all right?
I'm in a freshman dorm interviewing freshmen about third-party candidates. How do you feel? How do you feel about third-party candidates?
I think they take votes away from actual party candidates, but they're a good thing because they bring across things you would never think of.
What are your thoughts on third-party candidates? You first.
Me first? I feel they offer more.
They offer more?
Yeah, than what the two main parties.
Would you vote for a third-party candidate?
Yeah, if I liked one.
Yeah? What about you? What do you think?
I'd have to agree with them. I think it's a good change to the two-party system. I think that's probably politics, or American politics' biggest problem, the two-party system.
All right, thank you.
How I feel about third-party candidates? They have no chance of winning an election ever. The only thing they serve as is sometimes a spoiler for splitting a party up and buying votes.
Third-party candidates. I don't see them as competitive. I like them, but I'm not gonna waste my vote on them.
You think it's a waste of a vote?
I do think it's a waste of a vote.
Yeah. Okay. What are you?
How do you feel about third-party candidates?
They're great. They need more support.
Why should people vote for you instead of President Clinton?
It makes no difference which one of us you vote for. Either way, your planet is doomed. Doomed!
The United States Constitution is the law that organizes the federal government. Regarding presidential elections, it states certain qualifications for presidential candidates, but never does it limit the election to a two-party system.
The control of overall policy is really in the hands of a very small number of people who control all the administrations, all the appointments to cabinets, and certainly all the appointments to the Federal Reserve.
Well, that shows we have a single-party political system in the United States. Just maybe split in two a little bit, but there's really no difference.
It's a single party, and if you look at the obstacles put in our way as libertarians to get on ballots, it's an outrage, because we have to spend more than a third of our energies and our monies just to apply to get on state ballots, and this distracts us. Some states it's almost impossible to get on. They say, and I have not personally investigated every law around the world, but they say that we are one of the toughest countries in the world to get a new party system. And the American people have been conditioned that it's great to have two parties. We don't want to be like Italy where there's all these choices. We want to limit our choices. It's easier that way.
And we don't want to be like the Soviet Union where there's only one party.
Yeah, that's right. So they have two. But if policies never change, what's the difference? So we do have one party. If policies never change, you know, if there would have been a difference.
In 1832, William Wirt was nominated as the first third-party candidate the U.S. presidential election in history. Third parties have been a force in American politics for nearly 200 years to date. Shown here is Gary Johnson, who ran for president in 2012 as a Libertarian nominee. Johnson was on the ballot in all 50 states and recognized as a legitimate political force in the 2012 election.
Do you have you found when you're talking to people, they're more open to it where you go out and you go, you know, there's also RC cola, also very tasty. Like when you talk to people, do they say like, oh my God, I never tasted libertarianism. Let me, oh.
That's the opportunity. The notion that that perhaps libertarians embrace what most people actually philosophically. You know, it's one thing to philosophically be in tune with the Libertarian Party.
Right.
It's another thing to actually point out the problems that face the country.
They are, of course, the alternative to the mainstream. Do you think that it is time now for a third-party candidate?
Yeah, I mean, in my judgment, you know, I come from the libertarian world. It's always been time. And the American people do say that they want it. I would like to think that the economic situation, the political situation is so grim to so many people right now that they will be willing to go third party. But I also want to point out the other option that many Americans take and we don't talk about much, which is the option of not voting at all, which 40 to 50% of Americans do in almost every election year. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that non-voting number grow this year as well, because people just throw up their hands and say, I don't trust any of these politicians to solve the problems I want them to solve.
The two-party system in American politics is failing. We're seeing alternative candidates rise up in the American political system. Third parties should not be dismissed, but rather be held up as a symbol of hope for federalism and democracy.
It's a one-huge crowd. I can drive down the road.